Hey, welcome back everyone. It is now March 30th of 2022, and as we get closer and closer to the official release of the Obi-Wan Kenobi TV series, a lot of Star Wars fans are also excited and very much eager to see other shows out there, like the Ahsoka show, Mando Season 3, Star Wars Andor, which is, by the way, going to feature Darth Vader, and we have a lot more coming our way as well for next year and the years beyond. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you're new to the channel for future Star Wars updates. Also, by the way, guys, if you want to go ahead and drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, I thank you all so very much for the kind support. It is greatly appreciated. Now, one thing about Disney Star Wars is that we already know that everything related to how George, John, and Dave are taking care of the franchise at heart is going to be a balance between not just Legends and the Disney canon, but also unapproved Star Wars material from the 1990s and the early 2000s by George. So basically, unused Legends content is going to be thrown in to the new Star Wars universe to kind of really make it feel all the more original. So that's exactly how George, John, and Dave are creating ways to really create this large balance in order to make it feel very original at heart. Now, when you look at everything related to what has been going on with Lucasfilm as a company, and, you know, all the drama between Kathleen Kennedy and Pedro Pascal and John and Dave, and how there's this divide over at Lucasfilm as a company. You know, you have a lot of employees that are more sided with George Lucas's vision and other employees that are more sided with Kathleen Kennedy and Leslie's vision with the Acolyte TV show. You know, you have some old school employees there and you have some new, younger employees there as well. So that pretty much, you know, usually is always a thing at a lot of, you know, major production studios, especially one like this over at Lucasfilm. When you look at everything related to this, though, Lucasfilm is really trying to bring Star Wars back to its roots. Alright, we're talking about creators like John and Dave. So, given that both Disney and Lucasfilm are beginning to develop multiple Star Wars shows that will be announced at this year's celebration, creators Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni are also heavily involved with post-production of Mando Season 3 right now that is going to feature tons of new Legends content. However, recently it's described that Disney CEO Bob Chapek has been making some major changes behind the scenes over at Lucasfilm and with the Disney higher-ups in their plan to fire Kathleen Kennedy to replace her with a brand new Lucasfilm president by early 2023. Now, it's noted that currently Chapek is moving along with those plans smoothly, and that George Lucas is still intending to fill the role of a new Lucasfilm president, temporarily speaking. Now, Lucas is set to eventually hold the authority to change aspects of the entire roadmap of the franchise, and how the films and TV shows will be marketed even after the permanent solution for Lucasfilm's president, of course, and how he comes into play. Now, Chapek has been talking with those like Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni about taking over for the roles as well, as now, of course, we also have two other candidates that are also very qualified to take over that role as well. Now, let me just stop right there for 1 second. Now, it's very unlikely, in my own personal opinion, that John and/or Dave Filoni is going to become the new Lucasfilm president. That's just my take on things. It doesn't seem all that realistic, but anything can happen. These two are very busy with shows for next year and even 2024 and beyond, so I have no clue as to how they're going to be able to take over a company like Lucasfilm while also working on, you know, TV shows. I mean, they could make it work. They could absolutely make it work. But that would actually have to use a lot of their time up, and they probably would be working 24/7 just about. So when you look at everything related to it in that sense, they have two other candidates. We're not quite sure exactly who they are just yet, and we're going to get into that in just a second. But everything related to Chapek, things are moving along very well so far. Now, it's unclear who the other two candidates are, but as of now, Kevin Feige backed down from having any interest in becoming the new president of Lucasfilm. By the way, he was also one of the candidates, but he backed down. These two mysterious candidates are said to be big-time Hollywood producers and writers, and how they have also worked on big franchises before in the past, and that Chapek has been having a good time staying in communication with them to take over Lucasfilm if John and/or Dave hold no interest, which could be very likely given that they are very busy creators with the Star Wars universe. Now, additionally, Kathleen Kennedy is very aware of the entire situation and plans by Disney, and is described to still be very angry over their decision to let her go by later this year, that will go into full effect by Q1 of 23. In a recent interview, Chapek went on to state, "We are always weighing our options of new leadership at Lucasfilm and who could always take the mantle and bring Star Wars onto a new path. It's something that we always think about and something that we at Disney make sure to discuss regularly." Now, with Chapek indirectly avoiding the question about Kathleen Kennedy's firing eventually and their plan to place Lucas temporarily before the permanent solution fills in, fans are also getting very excited for the new marketing techniques that Chapek will be using for shows like Kenobi, Ahsoka, and the third season of Mando, as well as Andor. Kathleen Kennedy's marketing strategy for the Acolyte, however, is best described to be very different and could very well be a big risk against the show's potential success. As of now, Kathleen Kennedy is trying to create her own legacy with the Acolyte series, while also working on her new production studio behind the scenes that she eventually wants to run for a couple of years before retiring. So, I don't know if you guys actually knew about this, but we talked about this lightly before in the past, is that Kathleen Kennedy is indeed developing her own production studio, and making it out to be her own take on Lucasfilm, dragging some of the fellow employees that she has over there that follows her to Starlight Productions. Now, Starlight Productions, that's what Kathleen Kennedy so far is dubbing the production studio, is going to be a sci-fi oriented studio to make sci-fi movies and TV shows. And I've said this many times before in the past, around 6, maybe 7 months ago. It almost comes off like Kathleen Kennedy is doing this to create competition against everything else, like Battlestar Galactica, Star Wars, Star Trek, anything basically that features characters in space, traveling from world to world, and doing things around those lines. She wants to make these big motion pictures, as big as a movie like Dune, for example, which I still don't believe that Kathleen Kennedy's going to be able to pull something like that off. But we'll have to wait and see. That takes a lot of creativity, a lot of time and effort, and what happened with Dune, I believe, was a smashing success, and because they took a lot of time on it, and they made sure to fine-tune it to be something very unique. Now, when you look at everything related to Disney Star Wars, they want to do the same exact thing with the Star Wars legacy, of course, with the new Star Wars universe. They want to make sure that they're building it from the ground up, that they're not going to play things too safe. Even Bob Iger, the original Disney CEO, admitted that with the sequel trilogy, they played things very safe. They didn't really take too many risks. They wanted to actually create a template from the original trilogy and use that for the sequel trilogy, and that's exactly what Bob Iger did, and allowed Kathleen Kennedy to take advantage of. So, overall, I think the fact that, what they are trying to do ultimately here as well, is that they really are trying to hold their options, come up with more options. It doesn't look like John and Dave are going to be able to take the role as president of Lucasfilm, either one of them or maybe even both of them for all we know. One handling the business end, one handling the creative end. They could do something like that if they wanted to, but it doesn't seem likely that it's going to be either of them. To be honest, that's just my opinion. I think it's going to be the two other mysterious candidates that are also, by the way, producers that have worked on big-time franchises and are also writers. And that makes a lot of sense because, well, they're most likely Star Wars fans, and we're not quite sure who they are just yet. But anyways, guys, drop a comment below. Let me know them all this in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.